how these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Not Bland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland, and today we have a great show ahead. Want to let you know we're powered by sportsjourney.com and also Everything Nitro. Man, what a weekend it was there in Gainesville. Had an opportunity to be there in person, and I'll just say straight up, right from the gun, that the NHRA Safety Safari deserves big props for what they did to get the track together with all the weather they dealt with for 2 weeks. So big shout out to them. They did an excellent job, provided a great racetrack on Sunday, and we had some action. I got with me the stat guy. This man's name is Dave W. What's going on, brother?
Oh, not much. Just enjoying a beautiful early spring-like 70-degree day here in Southern Michigan. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it started out cold here, 48. It's 77. It was 77 degrees here today. It turned out to be very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. And get you excited for drag racing season, which thank God it finally kicked off at Gainesville here in March. You should have been 3 races in by now, but whatever. We'll start the season in Gainesville. That's okay. No problem.
Right. Man, it was a great weekend. And I'll go come right out of the gates with it. What did we learn? The first week 1 regular season, what do we learn?
Well, I would say that we learned that the Coletta team is on one heck of a hot streak. How about that? They carried it over from Pomona. And, aside from having Doug going rounds, which unfortunately he wasn't there early, Team Coletta double up, Sean getting his first win in nearly 4 years, JR getting his first win since Sonoma last year. Things are hot right now. And, again, I'm only about 45 minutes away from Ypsilanti, so I could almost hear the parties from here.
Yeah. I mean, to double up, it took them 19 years to get to that point. I was thinking they need about 3 or 4 Brinks trucks to get that money to the bank. I mean, they really cashed in the Pro Superstar Shootout, and they come here and double up. It's like, man, y'all need some trucks to get that money back to the house.
Yeah, and when you consider, like you say, the Pro Superstar Shootout, back-to-back top fuel wins for Doug and for Sean, and great to see Sean and that team just really step up, go rounds, get the number 1. Doug still had low ET with that awesome 365 first round, so Alan Johnson's still making the power, and that's going to be a team to contend with this year. I think that's what we learned is Coletta Motorsports is for real. It took them a couple years to get that tune-up and that baseline figured out, but I think they're contenders this year.
Yeah, I agree. I said it on my show last week. Sean Langdon is going to be a person to watch, and he will be a contender for the championship. That's not a prediction, guys. That's a spoiler. Just letting you know. Gage Herrera comes out, lights the world on fire. The conditions were there. I've been looking around to see if there was going to be some rule change again. I really hope not. Let's see how this plays out first. I do believe Matt Smith and Angie, those 2 bikes are going to be coming around, as the season goes on. I know they're going to be working hard before they get to the 4 wide, but the conditions were ripe for them, and they took advantage of those conditions.
They sure did. And I'm pretty sure that didn't they have the rule change with the added weight after the 662 in Dallas? Or was that before that? Because if they penalized them after that, and they still came within 0.003 of a national record and the quickest time ever, and are just absolutely dominating this field, what did we learn about the Pro Stock motorcycle class? It's going to be status quo for that the Vance and Hines team, and specifically Gage Herrera. I mean, great debut for Ricky Gatson. on the team bike.
Yes.
Definitely hated to see that red light turn on because I think he was definitely going to be going rounds on the other side. But I mean, even his bike wasn't as consistent or as quick as Gage's was. So I think that's going to be more the same as what we learned in that category.
You gotta. That's my family right there. So hello, family. Yeah, I agree. And see, I'm going to give you guys a little nugget here. The problem is not the fact of adding weight. The NHRA needs to consult with someone or whatever the case may be that knows a little bit more. And when you are going to add weight, you need to be smart enough to know to tell them where to put the weight. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to add weight, fine. I'll add it to the front of the bike, the front of the chassis, where it's going to hold the bike down and it's just going to scoop right on down the track a lot easier. You put it on the back half of that bike, right in front of that rear tire on the chassis there, and then you slow the bike down. Now you really have to work to get that back up. If you're talking about slowing them down speed-wise, ET-wise, that's what you do. But you have to know that. You know what I mean? And I don't blame the tech department. Really hard to do. They don't have that many people anyway. But consult someone, find out where to put the weight. And when you make a rule change this time, you tell them where to put the weight. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You solve the problem easily. But at the end of the day, they work hard and they put up some he was very close to breaking the national record.
Right. And still ran top 5 quickest ETs on a couple of his runs. So that's what we definitely learned on the pro stock motorcycle side of things. Pro stock car, same thing. Erica's dominance isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, don't see it. Don't see it going anywhere either.
And in funny car, it doesn't matter who's in the seat or whose name's on the top of that other JFR Camaro. That thing is still going to be a contender.
It is. It has been quite the start. I do think there are some contenders and some people that will try to chip away at Erica in pro stock. I thought Dallas Glenn did an excellent job, just made a critical mistake. I do think Jeggy's going to be up there. We saw the guy Kelly Murphy go out there. He had a decent day as well. And it's interesting to see this class. And I understand it's a 2-team class, but at the end of the day, pro stock is healthy.
Oh, it is. You had 22 cars showing up, and you had names like Camry Caruso, big name, the McGaheys, not making the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was surprising to see. The other new rookie driver, Sienna Ryogust, out there, unfortunately didn't make the show in her debut. And then you had 2 other guys, like you already mentioned, Kelly Murphy and Brandon Foster. First national events, they're in the show. They make the field.
Yeah. And the Quadra boys, first, I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, Sienna Wildgust is 17 years old. Let that sink in. She's 17. Thought she did one heck of a job. They just couldn't get it down into the 50s where it needed to be, but they did make some really solid runs. And I think those runs would get you in the show in a lot of places, just not with those conditions. Tight track, very crisp air. It just didn't get you what you needed to. Saturday though, it got nice on the back end, not necessarily on the front end. It was kind of humid ahead of that front before the big rains came.
Well, and losing the last session didn't help either. For those teams, because I think that could have been. I mean, it was getting later. Yeah, you're like, okay, it's at night, but the humidity was picking up. The water grains were probably through the roof. So would there have been any shuffling? Don't know, but you always hate to miss a chance.
Yeah, you really do. And I thought in funny car, which was interesting, Proc can drive that car. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. To me, I don't know how. I just don't know how they go up and smoke in that final round. I think it was just J.R. Todd's day. I mean, I said in the media room, I said he was a drunk man stumbling around for 3 rounds and then proceeds to grab Thor's hammer and knock one out of the park right in the final round.
Hey, the one time you needed to get down the track, he was there. And you can't, like they always said, you can't beat luck.
Right. You need a little bit of that, and he definitely had a lot of it. What do you think of that double step, that weirdo back and forth double step type thing
That
was going on
luck.
there?
That was definitely luck, because even if Caps didn't red light, I mean, he had a 020 light, and anytime you double step, but I think you never try to do it on purpose. You screw up all the timers and everything else, the clutch timers going down the track. So he got lucky. It's plain and simple. He got lucky.
And what's funny to me is I don't know how JR was able to hold that car back the way he did and not. I mean, he must have been extremely shallow.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's wild. Any other time that car blows right through the lights.
Well, and I mean, it's not. If anybody's good at doing it, I'd say it's him. You remember Indy a couple years ago when he was up against Cruz and the clutch was screwed up, and he had to do that to bump it into the beams to stage, and got away with that one too.
Yeah. How about Bob Tasca? I'm telling you right now, soon they're going to hit that 340 mark. I thought if they had the conditions, they had them right there before the explosion by Brittany Force. Yeah. I thought right then they had an opportunity. Spoke with Mighty Mac about that. He talked to Tasca and he said that they were going to go for it on that 4th session. The car was running 338 like running 330. So I definitely think that they would have done it. Unfortunate for them that they, just blew the tires off of it. It's just wild how that happened. Sometimes it's just your day, right?
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, I'm at 100% agreement with you. When that 338.05 popped up in Q3, I'm like, all right, Q4 is going to be at night. They're running this thing. I mean, they're got to be going for it because they just kind of crept up on it. 336, 337, 338. They had the tune up there. They were working on it, and I was excited, man. I was so sad that the rain came when it did, and if we didn't have the cleanup from Clay's issue in the top end, and then Brittany's explosion there, I think we could have got at least through Funny Car and probably seen some pretty epic numbers.
Yep, I think so too. It was holding off long enough, but it just those two things really set us back. Says, do you guys think Drag Racing Mayhem? Do you guys think that Coletta team is back? He mentioned that earlier, but yes, I do think they're back. One thing that's interesting here, and I'll talk about Brian Husen. This is the first time that he's wielding his own deal. Every other time he was kind of a crew chief here. This is his own operation, and I kind of liken it with the Kyle Shanahan tree. I kind of liken it to the Bill Walsh tree. These are coaches that get the job done. And he is one of these guys that have learned from the best, the czar of the playbook. And he's showing what he can do and what he learned, and he's laying it down. He laid it down run after run after run.
Oh, definitely the most consistent car this weekend, I feel like, is right there, without a doubt. I mean, they made it down when other guys were struggling. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. It's just funny how we won't mention that. We won't mention it. We'll just call it a test session when that's true. But it was called the Pro Superstar Shootout. So I was just like, say you don't want to say Pro Superstar Shootout without saying you don't want to say Pro Superstar Shootout.
Yeah, and in regards to the speed on the top fuel side of things, there was a couple of drivers that were up in the mid to upper 298s to the 8th. Also, so I mean that 300 could have been out there too if the conditions were a little bit better. That Q4 was another lead up to. That's why it was another expectation to the Funny Car 340, because I'm like, man, if the dragsters are hitting it that hard and we're seeing that big a speed to the 660, it's out there.
Yes, I agree. And this is my camera guy. He did an excellent job this weekend. We're going to have a lot of photos for you guys coming up throughout the year. He did an excellent job. Like I said, he keeps me straight. And yeah, he was able to wield that new camera that he got and get some really fantastic shots. So I'm looking forward to sharing those with you guys as well. Yeah, he's a bad man. You got that right, Darren. Definitely. And I believe, well, I'll let him tell me if I can say it or not. So if I can say it, Darren, tell me I can say it, and then I will say it. In the meantime, we're going to go to our guy, Pro Stock Motorcycle. He did it. He was all over the place this weekend, doing a great job for a sponsor. They were working hard on the racetrack, really improved run after run. It's my guy, Flying Ryan. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, glad to be back here in my office. This life on the road for 2 weeks with our team. Man, it definitely spun the wheels right off of us, but we're regrouping and we're getting ready to load back up on some tequila and head back out there and make it happen at the next event.
That's got to be the highlight of that sponsorship, right? All the tequila you want.
That's right. That's right.
Man, you guys started out winning the sevens in that first qualifying session. Was that really a thing where people really didn't know what to expect from the track and they were just trying to get a nice little pass down the racetrack?
Maybe for some teams. For us, we came in and it was kind of a poor. Well, the bottom line is we needed the test sessions. Like we came in with the whole concept we were going to test, and we really, what I learned there was we were at the World Series of Pro Mod. We were set up with our tequila sampling. We were set up with our drag race experience cars, and we were entertaining, all the fans there at Bradenton Motorsports Park, and we had the Pro Stock bike sitting in the trailer, ready to rock and roll. And Wes and everybody was like, "Man, you guys, you can run as many times you want." I'm like, "Nah, the prep's not going to be right. We're just going to sit that out." The whole time that bike's got basically an experimental motor in it that we've been working on the engine dyno with, and yeah, we saw power increase. We had a lot of high hopes and thought we were just going to go in and just tear it up, and reality was, we really missed some of the signs of different acceleration rate of the motor. Yes, the horsepower's there, but the acceleration rate that it had really fell off. So we didn't get any test runs at Gainesville, and man, that really hurt us because you come into Q1 with something you'd never been down the racetrack before. I mean, the new bike, we shook it down. We knew it was fast. It was going straight. It still had its own little quirks. It only had 6 runs on it, at that time, but it had just went, our near perfect times that we've ever been, near personal bests, and thought, well, we got that figured out. Well, reality was motor didn't perform the way we thought it would. And then the next run, the bike, had a rear brake failure, and it locked up the rear brake and the shutdown, which then kind of misguided us because we're going, hey, was that brake dragging? And you would think it was because, mile an hour was down and all this. So then it took us Q3 to run it again and go, oh, definitely not a rear brake issue. Definitely motor's not performing. Okay, let's go ahead and switch motors and go into Q4 with what we know is fast. Well, there was no Q4. So then now you're in E1, really stuck behind the 8 ball. And, of course, we ran a respectable run, 685. Would have been the potential to run high 670s at that point for our team, which if you'd have started on Friday with an 85, tuned into the 70s, you would have made it out of round 1. You would have been into, who knows? You're in the show then. You're out of round 1, and that didn't happen. So we licked our wounds. We come home, we learned something. We're back on the engine dyno. While we were gone, my dad made 50 engine dyno runs. So it's really nice to have this dual-sided team where now while we're out doing our thing, we're still at home developing, which before we were working on developing, but we just didn't have the tools in place to really actually know what was coming out of the program. So now, we definitely understand how to monitor the acceleration of the motor on the engine dyno, and now we're really keeping tabs on that. We're using our tools, to our advantage. Some of these teams have been on the engine dyno program and had it all sorted out since 1981 when Superflow came out with the 901 or whatever, and
Right.
We've been there too, but not at the same caliber as our competition. So hats off to Vance and Hines for doing an amazing job with their program. Hats off to Matt and Angie Smith for getting her bike in the 660s, and it's just going to take us a little bit longer, but I feel really good about it. I feel good that I know I got a bike that can run in the 670s. I feel good about a new chassis that's going straight. We're already starting to build another new chassis design because why do you think you hit it right off the top on the head the first time you built something outside the box? You're learning, and pro stock car teams do this. Car teams build new chassis, a couple of them every year, until they find something that is optimum. And so with the help of Mike Mulaney, we're just already seeking out something that's going to be a little bit better and give us a little bit of an edge. But for now, we've got all new bolt holes, all new threads, all new things. Everything's going straight. Now we come up with 10 more horsepower that will match the acceleration that we're looking for. We'll be creeping in the right direction. Will we be at the NHRA low 60 numbers? Not right away. Maybe towards the end of the season, we can at least close the gap. And that's all that you're really looking for when a team is that far out ahead right now. And, that's NHRA's responsibility to also do their part to kind of reel it in too. And we'll see how that all transpires.
Now, I was thinking the same thing coming out of this, that there would be immediate rule change. Do you think it's one of those things where it was the conditions were just right? I mean, the track was nice and tight. We had crisp, cool air on Sunday for eliminations. Is it one of these things where you wait till the next race? I believe you guys' race, next race is the 4 wide, and see what they do there. If it's really in the same ballpark, is that when the decision should be made?
No, they already knew it at the end of last year. I mean, they knew it. They've seen it. You do have one. The issue is you have one bike and one rider that's really putting it down. Now that was just you do have Richard, who's going to be exceptional as well. They got to give him the same setup, which whether they did or not, I don't know that. Ellie Tongley. You're gonna have 3 just really good riders in that group. Yeah. Gage is real comfortable on his setup. The question always comes up: if you put Gage on Angie Smith's bike and Andrew Hines tuned the clutch, and this is like all this debacle that goes back and forth, is that bike going to go a 662? I mean, how can you really say that? We know that there are riders that are better sized and have a certain skill level that are better than us, but we're all you can't doubt Angie Smith at all for laying down a 669. And could it have been better? Well, I doubt it. Who knows? You might put Gage on it and it goes slower the first 10 runs, until the bike combination comes together. But neither here nor there. It's exciting. It's tough because it is such a parity class, so it creates a lot of drama because you do have 2 different sides that are 2 totally different platforms that are bickering back and forth. And it gets old over on this side of the fence because I'm just not the one to want to complain. You're in charge of your own destiny. You're in charge of your own engine development program. If you got to buy your parts from your competitor, you're asking for trouble to begin with, even though I'm sure they're trying to give them quality, but hey, they're not going to give them something better than what they got. Why would you do that? I mean, and I know there isn't a menu that says I want my A, B, and C level pricing. I don't know how that works. I mean, Eddie and Andrew, those guys are great guys. I would hate to, have to be in their position because I'm sure they're really trying to give everybody top-notch stuff, and they still get on the chopping block all the time. So, I mean, what a tough situation to be in,
Yeah, and when you were you're going there, kind of a first test run right off the trailer. You found out what you found out with the motor. For people that don't know about pro stock motorcycles, are you pretty much stuck in that box for the rest of the weekend? What kind of tuning can you do when you're at the track? How can you get maximize your performance. Like the pro stock guys are always changing gear ratios and transmission ratios and everything. What can a motorcycle team do to try and optimize your guys' stuff?
We can do anything that they can do. We've got all the same. They just can do it like up on the line. I mean, you hear them changing gears and stuff, right up there in front of everybody, and they can do it so fast. We've got takes a little bit more work to get our program in check like that, but we can completely utilize our onboard computer to see all the data. We can notice that when we have any type of health concerns to the motor, whether it be oil or vacuum or compression or, any of those type of things. And then of course, too, we changed gear ratios from Q1 to Q2 just with a rear sprocket change. We can pull a transmission out, do a transmission change or swap in 15, 20 minutes. We constantly work at our clutch program every pass. And we've got it in a window now that's not too far off, but the track, you change an engine concept that has a different crank and rotating assembly, and now you haven't got a chance to test that, and then you show up and now your clutch, everything's got to, the really good teams, they stay in their box. They're not trying to throw Hail Marys. They know what to do from run to run based off of a really sweet playbook, and your Tim Kalungens, your Andrew Hines, your Matt Smith, these guys, your Aranas, these guys have years and years of data. George Bryce, who, mentored me with Star Racing, man, that guy, push his thumb down on the track and be like, all right, that's a half a gram here. That's a 50,000 GM and it's a tenth of tire pressure. Like go down the racetrack. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. But when you talk 20, 30 years of only drag racing pro stock motorcycle, wow, right. It's interesting. But yeah, we have the capabilities of doing anything that's necessary. It's just you run out of time, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Right. I believe you guys have it. Your best 60 foot was a 108.4. And I believe that both yourself and Matt Smith, they're going to find it. You're going to find it, and it will be a dogfight here in pro stock motorcycle for sure. Tell us a little bit about your tequila brand. It is very tasty. It is very smooth, unlike any other that I've had.
Yeah, El Bandito Yankee Tequila. Our slogan is, so smooth it's criminal. But on the race team, we decided to cross out smooth and put fast in there. We're working on the fast part. We got the smooth part down, no doubt. The folks down in Jalisco, Mexico, at the El Fajito Distillery. See, it's like I'm like schooled in this now. They make one heck of a product, and we've been showing it to the masses around our country. And everyone that came to the Gator Nationals, they got what they wanted. They got to see speed. They got to have amazing tequila to taste. And what they always ask us is, well, where can we go buy it? And this is the funny thing that comes from a lot of the announcers is, hey, you're one of the first people to bring tequila to the track, and it can be bought somewhere around the corner, So we've been working hard with our local surroundings and our customers to have it on our on and off premise locations, so that when you leave the track, you can go buy it somewhere and take it home. And it's a real home run for our sales team in the state of Florida, because we worked real hard to get it in the accounts, and we were able to send them right down to the corner of 441 and 75 at a big plaza and go to a location, the Good Pour, and take it home. And that was cool. And of course, then we brought those people to the racetrack and got them experience to drag racing, because they'd never been to an NHRA race. And then we spent a lot of time during the week. We went to Bernie's Speed Shop with Josh Hart's event and took place in that fan fest. The next day we went to the Good Pour. We did a tasting at the Good Pour. Then we went to Gumby's Pizza just an hour later and did another fan fest event there in their parking lot. The tequila must have been getting kicked in because we had a big crowd and we had the cops show up and they got on the bullhorn and all the things that you expect to do when you got a liquor activation going on. Right. So, but I seen that coming. I went, we're parked 3 race cars in a fire lane in front of this pizza place, and you guys think that this is okay? And they're like, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay, so.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Last question. Are you guys going to be testing since I hate the fact that you guys have this big gap, but will you guys be testing at all up to the 4 wide?
Yep. Yeah, we're going to be testing for sure. My rig usually goes home and is with me right away. Since we had the sampling trailer there, that was coming back home, or our concession trailer. So we put our motor that we went and qualifying with that we knew was not performing. We put that in the trailer. That came home. That showed up last night. The race rig went to Charlotte. It's at Brad McCoy's shop. That's my main tuner and guy on our team that's helping me get the power to the ground. And we're starting a little program there at his facility. Trying to lighten the bike up a little bit more. The new bike is lighter, but the whole key with a lot of the pro stock motorcycles is having some ballast in some very strategic places. So we're working on that and refining our program over there. We're going to go test. There's a lot of resources in the Charlotte area in regards to motorsports. So we'll be working with a couple other teams and that are going to be out there. And we hope to, get a little bit more power. I'll go ahead and throw a motor in the back of my pickup truck. I'll run it over to Charlotte, and we're going to go meet up with some of the other V-twin guys, and we're going to go hit up a couple tracks. I think we're going to end up going to Virginia Motorsports Park and somewhere in the next few weeks, get back out on the track. We'll probably test a minimum of 1 time, if not 2 times, before we end up at the 4 wide.
One more question from media member Briar Starr, covers pro stock motorcycle. He says expectations for this season.
I see though that if you look at his shirt, he's got an El Bandito Yankee Tequila shirt on. That's how much we've been working out there on the streets. But expectations for the season, I really, now that this group is getting to be so tough, with that many Vance and Hines bikes out there running the season. Matt's got the 4 bikes out there. Making a top 10 this year is a big deal. And my goal for the last few years has been in the top 5. We're going to really turn up the wick to make it in the top 5. And we just want to get out there. We want to go arounds, and we'd love to get back in the finals. You can't say we're going to go win one. We want to make a final appearance, get out there and show everybody that, hey, we can go rounds. We can put on some win lights and make everybody back home feel good about supporting us and knowing that, the guys are moving in the right direction.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you this weekend, and you'll be on the show a lot, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
We got to shoot me over some mailing addresses because next I got to see a bottle of tequila on the shelf behind you there, and over in your filing system over there, Dave. We're going to have a couple empty bottles, and then we'll know we're on the right path,
Now that sounds like a plan. I'm on board with that.
I'm on board with that as well.
All right. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Flying Ryan, everybody. And before Dave W gets out of here, we're going to Pomona. What are some of the things you'll be looking for going into the Winter Nationals?
Man, it sucks that it's the Winter Nationals and it's the second race of the year. I'll be looking forward just to seeing. Let's see what the Coletta team can do if they can keep up with what they're doing. I'll be interested to see if Austin Prock finally picks up a win. Be interesting to see if Erica's dominance continues. It'd be interesting to see. Weather's probably not going to be conducive for it, but 340's out there maybe for Bob Tasca. I mean, Pomona's a good track. It's always been a speed track. It'd just be interesting to see. You usually take 2 or 3 events at the beginning of the year to really kind of get a gauge on where you're going to be this season. So do the teams that were continuing their dominance continue their dominance, and do the teams that kind of showed up at surprising results at Gainesville continue on? It'll be interesting to see how these points stack up after the first couple, but I'm looking forward to continued close competition.
Me too. Man, what a great start to the season. And keep the bat phone close by, my friend. You're going to be back a lot this season. Well,
I sure do appreciate it. And thank you for having me on as always. It was great talking to you and great talking to Ryan. everybody out there, enjoy the rest of the show, which I know you're getting into the drag racing bracket bonanza, which
Yes,
has been
sir.
scrolling across the bottom of the screen the entire time. Please join the Not Bland Show League. I'm gonna think I'm in 5th after the first one. I didn't do so good. So
Yeah.
it was not the bracket that I thought it was going to be. It's not as easy as you might think. But join
I
it up.
felt like I started too fast.
Only one way to go is down, and I could go up. So yeah,
You got that right.
Join because it's a good time.
Yes, sir.
Good night, everybody. Thank you all, and nice to see you.
All right, Dave. Thank you, brother.
Yep.
Dave W, everybody. Well, next, I have a really cool guest here. Her name is Kira, and she is the host of, God dang it, the Ultimate Motorsports podcast. I believe I said that correctly. Hello, Kira.
Hello.
How are you?
A little bit like all over the place today. I've never been a guest on anyone else's show. I'm used to being on the other side of the mic, so I'm like,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, I saw a lot of what you were talking about with drag racing bracket bonanza. Thought it was pretty cool, and I know we can have a great discussion here. Coming right out of the gates, the Gator Nationals was something to be had when it comes to drag racing bracket bonanza. I'll ask you, for right off the gate, who was the biggest bracket buster?
The person that ruined it all for me. Oh gosh. My go-to, Ron Caps, that double step really killed me.
Man, that was crazy. I have a slow-mo of that, by the way.
I think I saw it. I saw it on Twitter, I think.
Yeah. It's wild how, like I said earlier, I don't know how he was able to hold the car, JR was able to hold that car back like that. Even really Ron double step twice. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't know how he was able to hold the car back. Yeah, that was rough. That was very rough. Alexis DeJoria was one of mine, but I'll say that guy in pro stock, Brandon Foster.
Oh my gosh, yes.
A killer.
Yes.
He cuts up 410 light, ladies and gentlemen. 410. Troy just didn't have it. He goes on to win. And that was a killer, man. That was really a killer. It hurt a lot of things going forward in that bracket. And I did decently, but my worst bracket was really my funny car bracket. What was your worst bracket?
I think it had to be funny car because I got close with Top Fuel, but see, I'm a Nitro girl. That's like where my knowledge is. That's where my love is. And the best I did was in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I'm like, wow, okay.
I did too. I actually did. Pro Stock Motorcycle I had one wrong the whole time. One wrong.
Yeah, I did that thing where I was like, wrong formula, right answer though. So
yeah. Yeah. It was easy. I mean, it really was. You just had to make sure. My only hiccup was Chase Van Zandt. I thought he would perform a lot better than he did. Not surprised with Mark Ingerson, though. He's been working really hard. The bike has been consistent. He's been a really consistent rider since day one. And so I'm not surprised that he won that round. But that was the one that got me in that particular bracket. Oh, here is your Top Fuel champion, Nicole Clark.
The way I was so impressed when I saw her bracket, I was like, dang.
She knows Top
Fuel. Bow
down. She knows Top Fuel. Really does. And she killed it. Like I figured she would.
Oh, yeah. She's a knower.
Yes, definitely. Where do you rank overall?
Oh, not anywhere good.
Well, your boy overall is 13.
Why did I even come on the show? I'm not there. I'm like way down at the bottom.
I told y'all.
I'm not even winning my own league.
Oh, no.
I got bested by, shout out to Alan, my friend Alan. We love him. He's not even a drag racing guy. This is his first foray into drag racing. He's an IMSA guy.
What? Those people who don't know anything are the best. They're even very good because they don't overthink it. They really don't have a skin in the game. They just go by what they see and they don't overanalyze it. That's my biggest problem. That's why I say I'm good today.
Yep.
Next week I could be 850.
I just have to get over like my biases. Like that's my thing. Like I have these 4 or 5 guys that I know will perform well, but now it's just everybody else is a spoiler, but I don't want to commit to it. But now I have to.
Yeah, it's I'm an overthinker. I pay attention to a lot of stats, which is great because this actual website gives you the ability to see stats to make your decisions. Even gives you the ability to see stats at that particular track and how that particular driver or rider has done to make your decisions. I don't need all of that stuff. Yeah. I'm a guy who's pay attention to qualifying. When the next morning I kind of pay attention to what the track conditions might be, and look at the weather ahead. Try not to overthink too much of the statistics and what coulda, shoulda. This week, I think I did a good job, but it's going to get harder and harder as the season goes on. It's just one of those things with myself. Being a stat geek kills me every time. Yeah. Every time.
I'm fully committed to hitting the randomizer in Pomona. I'm just going to do it. It's early enough in the year. I want to hit the button. It's shiny and new, and I want to press it.
I wanted to too, because I was like, when I woke up, I thought one way when we left the track. And when I got there Sunday morning, it was chilly. I'm looking at the track and I'm like, man, this is going to be a tight racetrack. And I gave people tips. I told you, if you have something, you know, you're going to have to consider some things. There may be some upsets. And I did that to a degree. And I think I overdid it in Funny Car because that was my, that was bad. That was really bad. I had one guy, and that was Austin Prock, correct. Bob Tasker went out in the second round to Alexis DeJoria, and I had J.R. Todd. I didn't expect him to get that far. I was telling Dave W. He was kind of like a drunk man stumbling around for 3 rounds, woke up and found Thor's hammer and knocked it out of the park in the final.
Honestly, that's not far off.
See, I can't even win NCAA brackets because I overthink too much. At one year, I did a randomizer, and I let it sit for a while. And right before the bracket, the whole NCAA tournament started, I went in there and messed with it. And trash. after the first week, the first round, done.
I did my first NCAA bracket last year because my brothers in our group chat were like, oh, come on, let's do something. So I was like, okay, I've never done it. You guys have. Like, let's do it. I did decent. So I felt good about it. This year, after what's happening with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, I'm like questioning all of my bracket skills.
Yeah. It is one of these things that it will make you overthink. I kind of liken Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza to golf. You go out and one time you play pretty well, and then you go out and you stink the joint up the next time, but you have one good hole that you just play flawless. Come out, you're under par, and that's what keeps you coming back.
Yeah. It's like every week it's like, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yes. This whole thing, though, coming into Pomona is going to be very interesting. We know how fast the track is there, and the conditions are usually pristine for making power. Gainesville turned out to be that way on Sunday. What are your thoughts, and who will you be watching during qualifying coming into Pomona?
I really think we have to keep the spotlight on Coletta in obviously like in every single way, but obviously we know Brian Hewson is proven. He's good at race cars. Like he got it. But I think I want to move a little bit of my attention away from that because we know what he can do. And I want to look at Doug a little bit. I want to see him like crop up and have like his little like, hey, I'm the champion. I'm still good. Like I want him to have his like breakout thing early in the year. But I also feel like there's so many. Dude, okay, I wish Elon Werder was giving us cheat codes. Like,
Yeah, for real. I just told you, I was in the 90 percentile. I finished second or I think second or third. It was very close in our NFL season pick'em. I'm that dude.
I've had Elon on my show a couple times, and we bonded over the fact that unfortunately we are both kind of bad at this. He's like, I would love to finish in like the top 10 of the game that I created. Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it stinks when you create the league and then you can't even place in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Darren, can I say something about you now? Let me know.
Spill some tea. We love to hear it.
Yep, he definitely was. I can't wait to spill the tea if he lets me. I've been eager. Yeah, I think so. I think what we're going to have to consider, I had an article that didn't drop, but will drop soon. Paul Lee, Terry Haddock. I look at when you look on the other side, or you look in pro stock, Carr. I think the Quadra Boys.
Oh yeah, that's where I was going next. I forgot. We got sidetracked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like now more than ever in 2024, it's less of like a gimme in every single class because there's so many good teams and so many good drivers that you have to start looking at everybody.
Yeah. You're laughing, Darren. Yes or no? Jeez. Yeah, that was impressive, Lonnie. That the 3 second back-to-back 3 second runs for Terry Haddock, career best. I couldn't have been more happy for that guy.
He deserves the world. He's been in this for so long, and I love to see him like shine and have his moment because he can play spoiler, but now if he can confidently do it, you love to see it. Maybe not my bracket, but for him as a person.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
So, my guy, Darren Williams Jr., is now working for his favorite driver, John Force Racing.
Wow.
He's one of your guys that handles the PR, doing the things behind the scenes. I could not be more happy for this guy. It all started with one simple video that he sent me to look at. And this is the same guy that didn't want nothing to do with media, made his way all the way up to working for one of the best companies out there at the racetrack, Competition Plus. Guy works hard. Bobby Bennett worked hard to build that and gets his opportunity for John Force Racing. The dude just worked his butt off and it got noticed. And I'm glad. I'm like a proud papa. I'm just elated that I had an opportunity and a part in allowing and seeing this kid grow. Congratulations, my guy.
Yay.
I know we're missing inside the NHRA. He can't do that. So it's a conflict of interest. So we'll try to work in some little recap here on the show. Maybe, just maybe, Dave W. decides to take over the helm.
Oh.
Man, inside the NHRA. Yes, hard work pays off. He worked hard. He really did. And I feel good about it because I got here the same way. Someone reached back and gave me an opportunity. I was just doing a pre-recorded YouTube show, and in a year's time, 2 years time, I was signing a talent contract. I don't have a degree in this. So for me to be able to give back, so to speak, and see this here, man, I my heart is full. My heart is full for sure. He's, of course, you worked hard for that, man. You really did. Scott says the same thing. Yeah, definitely exceptional. So what is your favorite thing now that we've got 1 week out of the way?
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of gotten a chance to see what the website looks like, how all this is going to work. What's your favorite thing that you've seen or used on this website so far?
So I think the way that I look at it, just because, my audience is not like, they're not steeped in drag racing. They're NASCAR fans, they're IndyCar fans, they're IMSA fans. So it was my goal when I started out with my show was to share drag racing with them, because it's, the greatest sport on the planet. Like, it changed my life when I was 7 years old. Like, I want everyone to be a part of it and know. So when I went on there and I started looking around, I loved to see all the information, because my co-host for my show, she does not care about stats. It's not her thing. She did not come into this world on her own. I dragged her in kicking and screaming, and she picks things because of the way they look. She'll pick IndyCar off of a picture. So for her to be able to see drivers and do that, that's what she loves. But the fact that there is so much information available, that I think is really the best thing for everyone. And so I'm super impressed with all of that.
Yeah.
And just, it's so easy to use. It's so user friendly. The UI is not confusing. They've done a really good job on that side of it.
I agree. There's a lot of stats in drag racing that are simply just hard to find. Records weren't kept very well, especially early in drag racing, and even now, it's fairly decent. Sometimes it's hard to find accurate, stats, and to have this database and to know that it's going to build, it's gonna help in so many ways, just for the average fan that really may not want to play, but may want to look up something from Bob Glennon's run in 1992. You know what I mean? It's you'll be able to have those things. My favorite thing on this is the fact that they are extremely quick with updating your bracket, so after round one, or who won, who lost, and where you stand. And it even has your points total, and you can see where you stand in your league, in whatever league you're in, and in the overall Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza League, you can see where you stand. So it is quite the website. The work that has been put into this thing is phenomenal. And I don't think really, honestly, there's not too much out there like it. And I even think it's better than your NCAA bracket. Just more interactive. It's dry, and you know what I mean? I really enjoyed that part of it. So tell us a little bit about what your show is.
Oh gosh. I always kind of lead with, because it happens every time, whether I try to or not, I'm just welcome to chaos. We don't take ourselves too seriously. But for me, what I want to do, because I, for so long, have worked for somebody else, I've written for somebody else, and it's very much in, this square box and put the information out. So when I decided to start my own show, I was I just want to have fun with people. I want to give them the information, but do it in a way where it doesn't feel like they're being preached at.
Right.
So I do all kinds of things. We'll talk about drag racing, IndyCar, IMSA. Last year we did Formula One because my co-host wanted to do a league, and that killed my soul. It was so much. We have 20 races. See, Ben knows. Ben is one of my models.
Thanks for tuning in, Ben. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we have 20 races this year in the NHRA, but it already doesn't feel like the 23 or 24 that F1 had last year. Like, it's completely, the vibes are different.
Right.
So, but I also, so we'll talk about like things that are happening and we'll do recaps, but also I do trading card unboxings.
I saw a video on that. That was pretty cool.
It came about like totally randomly because I was on eBay looking for something and I found
I'll get there, Lonnie.
they were what were they? Oh, they were hydroplane racing cards because I grew up in Washington. I still live here, and a big part of our summer is Seafair. It's this giant air show and hydroplane racing, and it was a card of Dave Villwock, who is like a huge like champion in the sport. My dad went to high school with him, and I was like,
Interesting.
oh, I have to buy this just because it's hilarious. And then I saw this whole world of like motorsports trading cards from the 80s and the 90s, which is something that I'm hoping that more sports bring back, because IndyCar is kind of bringing it back. But if everybody can do it, that would be cool, because it's just like a fun look at, you know, the way things used to be. And if we can have just like, you know, here's this picture and all this information for $6 for a pack of 10, like, it's such a fun thing. So I do all kinds of things on my show. Sometimes I'll think about something, I'll get an idea, and I'm like, is that dumb? Maybe, but I'm going to do it anyway.
That's cool, though. It really is.
I don't want to set rules for like my stuff. Like, it's the professional and the information and all that, but it's still fun. Like, you know.
Yeah,
yes,
I get it.
The Miss Budweiser, the OG, Dave Villwock. I'm glad somebody knows.
So is there going to be a drag racing bracket bonanza podcast?
Okay, so I don't know. I keep hearing Elon Warner say that they're working on something. I keep forgetting to ask him about it, because if he's going to do that, I'm like, gotta be on it. Like, what we doing here?
Exactly.
But I'm going to do something on my show where, because we have on our YouTube channel, I already started like a little section for it because I made a short of how bad my weekend went. And I think I'm probably going to do every 5, maybe, because it'll make sense, every like 5 races.
Yes.
Just a little like breakdown of everything and how it's going, and do something like that. But if they're going to do something official, I'm like knocking on the door. I want to be a part of it.
I agree. I want to be a part of it too. We're going to kind of do the same thing here. I think you're right. Probably every 5 races, you bring up something, how things are going in that, because it'd be hard to do and have something decent every week. So yeah, definitely something to do every 5 races. Tell everybody where they can find you at and follow you and follow your work.
Okay, so for podcast stuff, the Unlikely Motorsports Duo on Twitch and YouTube. And then I have all my written work is over on Shifting Lanes. And then I'm Kira Sage on Twitter and Instagram, and yeah. That's
what's up. And I'm glad that I found you. I found you from the interview you did with Elon. And this won't be the last time you'll be on. Really enjoyed having you on the show. And I look forward to your next show as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was great. I love, one of the things that I've said to Elon is that I love the community that Drag Race Bracket Bonanza has created.
Yeah.
Because we're all like out here existing, doing our own things, but now we're kind of like seeing each other in our spaces and being able to share it. And I think that's great.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Kira, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Man, what a show. So Lonnie wants me to get to what Brian Lone said. And I'm going to say this. First, I don't really see these people saying drag racing is dead. But my only thing is that for a calendar year, he was saying that drag racing is not dead a lot. So I don't understand the clapback when you were kind of part of that. but I don't see the drag racing as dead stuff. I don't know. Maybe I don't go deep and follow down a rabbit hole and find things like that. I just don't care to indulge myself in people that I just think, like a lot of things on the internet, speak out of ignorance. We're in a time and space where people are keyboard warriors because no one really speaks to each other that much anymore. It's text and being on Instagram and commenting on Twitter. Anybody can be old Billy Badass on a keyboard. But I've learned since day one being in media that I don't worry about those things. And 9 times out of 10, if somebody says something off kilter, just wait a little bit. The fans will take care of it. So I don't have time for that nonsense. And I won't have time for that nonsense. I mean, it's quite obvious what we're seeing in drag racing here. I'll just go no problem raceway. They had that regional. They're going to be having the Cajun Nationals here soon. We're going to be talking about that on the Power Hour. We're going to be talking to, I believe that's the owner of the track, Nelson Hoya. I think that's his name, how you pronounce it, tonight. And we're going to be talking about that. There's so much racing going on. I mean, just right up the road here, my home track, South Georgia Motorsports Park, which I will say, I saw someone post a comment. I believe it was Drag Racing Mayhem. They want to have a national event. And boy, I hope they do. They just have a few things they need to do. And updating visitor side, need more visitor side stands. Probably, I think pit area is good enough. I think it would be a very intimate setting, kind of like a Epping, I would think. I just, like I said, Lonnie, I don't have time for negative nonsense that really has no substance. I don't even address it. Anything like that does not have substance and is not backed by fact, I do not address that. Why? It's a waste of time. We got enough negative stuff going on in the world. I don't need to saturate myself with ignorance. Ain't my thing. So much cool stuff. If you're not involved in Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza, you need to. It is not too late. They are having several ways you can win. There is a majors that they're going to be having. It started with the Gator Nationals. I believe it is 4 races that I can't remember what those majors are. They are having a 4-wide cup, Charlotte and Vegas. So that will be interesting. There's going to be the countdown as well. So there's a lot of ways you can win for sure. And you're going to have that opportunity. If you want to join this league, the code is at the bottom on the ticker. It is the Not Bland Show. And that code is on the bottom of the ticker there. You can join. I'll be happy to continue to school you guys and hold the lead. For Sports Journey, for everything Nitro, this has been the Not Bland Show. Thank you, Briar. Thank you, Scott, for tuning in every week. It's awesome. Lonnie, everyone who tunes into this show, it's greatly appreciated. My guy Mighty Mac put some work together that was phenomenal. I think you need to go check it out. They worked hard this weekend. Both him and Kevin worked really hard. So give them a shot. Yes, these are your 4 majors here, okay? So with that, we're out of here.